What's up, everybody? It's Brandon from Tattooing 101, and today we're going to touch base on tattoo aftercare. So if you're having issues with your client's tattoos not healing up correctly, or why there's lines falling out of your tattoos, this video is going to solve all of those problems for you. Now, the first thing you want to think about, if you're having issues with tattoos healing up incorrectly, it could also be because of the knowledge that the tattoo artist has, or you're overworking the skin to a point to where it's scabbing up really bad and the ink is falling out. So a lot of these issues could be from the actual tattoo process and not to do with aftercare. But there are a couple tips and tricks that I have built up over my career to be able to help tattoos heal up more effectively through that time period. So if you've been tattooing for a while and you're confident in your ability to do a tattoo without it having to scab up, or you're just having one client or a couple clients that their tattoos just aren't healing up with the quality that you'd like, more than likely it has to do with the aftercare that they are using. So I make sure when it comes to my studio, we have aftercare sheets that we print out, that we hand to every client, along with explaining all the steps they need to take throughout the first week and along with the lifetime of the tattoo. Now let's get into the step-by-step plan when it comes to aftercare from my point of view. Now, some different artists have different points of view when it comes to the aftercare process. Some artists still recommend A&D ointment. I'm not a big fan of that because it is petroleum based. So whenever you put that over a tattoo, if you have any bacteria or anything on your fingers when you're putting it over the tattoo, it just forms a perfect breeding ground for infections to grow. And obviously when it comes to tattooing, infection is the last thing you want to happen when your tattoos are healing. So what I do after the tattoo, what I'm going to do is wrap it up, make sure that everything is clean whenever it's leaving the studio. That just protects me from the client thinking that anything or any infection that they've got happened in the studio. So everything is clean and sanitary inside the studio. I wrap it up so absolutely nothing can happen to that tattoo while they're in the studio. What they do after that is completely up to them for listening to the instructions that I give. And if they want a tattoo to heal up good and have longevity with their tattoo, they will definitely listen to the advice. Now, the first instruction I give is making sure you're not swimming or getting into any lakes or anything like that. So if it's summertime or you're in an area to where it's nice all the time, of course, people like to get in water to cool down. This is a terrible thing for tattoos, so I recommend that they just stay away from it. Now, obviously, bathing and showering is okay. You just don't want to submerge the tattoo for long periods of time because that could cause issues with healing. From there on, I ask if they have any pets, making sure that their pet's not rubbing up against the tattoo or scratching it. I've seen this happen plenty of times, and it can destroy a tattoo. On a fresh tattoo, one little scratch will leave just a perfect scar over a tattoo, especially if it's deep enough to cause extra trauma. So staying away from things like that. Another thing that can be hard to do, stay out of the sun. Sun is definitely a traumatic thing for a tattoo for the whole lifetime of the tattoo. So even if you have a tattoo that's healed for 10 years, sun will always affect the pigment of a tattoo, especially if you're getting sunburned, things like that, your skin peeling. If you have color, it's going to lighten up. So most tattoo artists will say, make sure you put lotion on and wear sunscreen forever over your tattoos. And sunscreen isn't a bad idea to begin with. So some people recommend Saniderm. I've seen that some people are allergic to the adhesion when it comes to the actual Saniderm. It makes a red marking outside of the tattoo, and it causes some problems with healing. So even if one of my tattoos have an allergic reaction out of 100, I still don't want to use a product where there's a chance of the tattoo not healing up perfectly. So I don't go that route just because of that. So what I do, as soon as they get home, make sure you take the bandage off. Make sure you clean it really good with antibacterial soap. That's an important one. And using Lubriderm, it's an unscented lotion, so it's able to hydrate the tattoo. It's also able to get air, so it won't dry out, but it won't cause any issues with you sealing up the tattoo completely and leaving a breeding ground for infections and all sorts of bad stuff to happen. There's also no adhesive on it, so you don't have that issue going forth with allergic reactions and things like that. And also another thing I like to point out is make sure you're not having really tight clothing on your tattoo all the time. If you're getting it on the leg, rubbing up against jeans all day can really agitate it and just cause extra trauma to the skin. So with the healing process of a tattoo, you want to have the best way possible so it heals up and stays clean and bright for the longevity of your life. So I recommend putting Lubriderm on about 6 to 7 times a day. Now this could vary per person depending on, if you're working outside, things like that. And so if it's getting dry, it feels a little dry, just make sure you put some Lubriderm on it and it will hydrate that skin and help it heal. Now, if you do fall into issues to where you are at work and not able to hydrate it enough and it gets a little hard, a little bit scabby in some areas, now this could happen even if you don't overwork the skin, if you're just wearing really tight clothing or brushed up against something to where it just caused a little area in your tattoo. The best thing that I recommend is getting in a salt bath to where it could just loosen up some of that, and you could just very lightly rub it and it'll kind of loosen up some of that scabbed up skin and then be able to hydrate it as normal. So that's pretty much the week 1 process of just making sure you wash it with antibacterial soap about 3 times a day, making sure you keep it clean, using Lubriderm and unscented lotion, and make sure that you're wearing gloves while doing this. You don't want to rub any dirt or grime that you have on your hands onto your new tattoo. Keeping any tight clothing off of your tattoo, also staying away from water and sun, and definitely not water and sun at the same time. The most common mistakes that I see when it comes to tattoo aftercare would be putting a ton of A&D ointment or Aquaphor on a tattoo. And then when they go to wipe it, you can just see all of the ink on the paper towel after wiping it down, which is just a really gross thing to see. I've seen it plenty of times in my career. Now, as tattoo artists, I've seen that the aftercare has kind of changed throughout the years. When I first started, they recommend A&D ointment, Aquaphor, and throughout my career, I've seen that kind of change because I've noticed whenever I first started, the clients would have those issues with patting their tattoo and just seeing their whole tattoo on the paper towel with using Aquaphor and things like that because they would put too much on. So now that we're using Lubriderm and unscented lotions, the tattoos seem to heal up really, really good. You don't have those issues with ink kind of like being pushed out of the skin and showing all that ink residue on top. Now, I do see online that people using the Sanoderm have those ink sacs and everything that's going viral, which I've had a few of my tattoos that I've used it on heal perfectly, no issues. But like I said, I've had a few issues with allergic reactions, so I try to stay away from that completely. I have a proven process that works for the way that I tattoo and have not had any issues with it yet. So that's what I'm gonna stick with. So the biggest mistake I see from clients would be listening to their friends. So as a tattoo artist, you need to make sure that you're explaining to your clients that the advice that I'm giving you is the best way for your tattoo to heal up perfectly. If you listen to your friend, there might be some issues with healing to where it might need a touch up. And if you follow the directions that I give you, I'll do that touch up for free. There's no issues with doing that as long as you follow my directions, because this is a proven process that I've learned throughout years of tattooing, and it's what works best for me. And another one, please do not let anyone smack a fresh tattoo. This was something that started years ago about setting the ink, and I can't say that I've never done it because I've probably done it to my brother. But this is not a good thing, especially if your friends are just not washing their hands and they slap your tattoo. Welcome to an infected tattoo. So make sure you tell your clients it's not funny, it's not sanitary, it's not something cool to do. So let them know to not let anyone touch their fresh tattoo. Another huge one that I see on social media is when couples get tattoos that go together or matching tattoos, and they just press both those tattoos up close together to get an awesome picture for social media. That's disgusting. Don't let any person, especially two people that just got fresh tattoos, it doesn't matter if you're in a relationship, been married for 60 years, your brother, don't press two fresh tattoos together. Don't even touch another person with your fresh tattoo. It's just something to stay away from. So make sure you tell your clients if they get ready to go get that picture of them just smushed together, make sure you tell them it's not a good thing to do, and just don't do it in general. If you want to get a cool picture like that for the gram, let it heal up, wait a couple weeks, and make it happen. That way, you can get a perfect healed tattoo to where it just looks beautiful and healed all together and get that nice social media post. So those are all the things I go over when it comes to aftercare. And just to recap, make sure that you're telling your clients to use Lubriderm. Put it on about 6 times a day. Wash it with antibacterial soap about 3 times a day. Just make sure you stay out of any water for long periods of time. Keep it clean, along with staying out of the sun, and also stay away from any pets, and make sure you're not wearing any tight clothing. So if you follow all the steps that I've given you in this video, you will avoid all the common mistakes that your clients go through whenever it comes to aftercare and tattoo healing. I hope this video was able to help you guys out have better healing tattoos. And as always, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video.